You know what I mean? So
they made that assumption, or they made that decision not to show the movie, knowing that there was no threat according to the Department of Homeland Security.
But the threat, whatever the quote unquote, the air quote threat is public. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not some internal memo. It's not something like, pre 9/11 when they got that memo in August, bin Laden determined to attack U.S. That was an internal memo.
Right.
This is public.
Who made it public?
The media.
Well, they tend to take things and run with it, though. But
it doesn't matter. It's public. It's at the forefront of what we're thinking. It's headline news. When you as a hacker group or a country start to compare what you're going to do to 9/11 style attacks, that's public. And what you're doing is you're creating fear, and what fear leads to is craziness
and selling.
Well, that's the bread, eggs, milk thing. That was we must consume. Don't let them win.
And of course, don't forget that this could all be a
very elaborate ruse to have the interview overtake Avatar at the box office.
Well, just imagine too, though, like it's not far fetched that the news blows things out of proportion for their own personal gain. Just like we said that the original attack mentioned nothing about the interview, and now it's all about the interview.
Right,
and if you notice the news in the past couple of days, where's Ebola gone? Is it healed now?
Or there's not a lot of talk about the torture reports as well.
Right.
That's kind of been swept.
Well, it's the new national distraction is North Korea.
Right.
Yep.
And that's okay. Like, the news is going to go where the news is. The news is going to go where the people tell it to go.
Or is it the other way around?
No, the news is going to go where.
I think it just it's trying to appeal to the people, so it's going to go where it thinks is right.
It would have never gained the momentum it would have if people weren't talking about it. If they didn't find it, if they didn't find it,
they're the ones with the channel.
But it's not. But Jimmy, it's not. You can't reduce. If you reduce it down, if you reduce it down to Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, NBC, CBS, ABC, and if you reduce it down to those and say that those are the ones dictating what the story is going to be, it doesn't make sense because those guys are fighting each other for ratings anyways. So everybody's going to go towards the thing that people are going to tune into.
Right, because it's interesting and it causes fear. So they're going to come up with the best
fear's
headline.
Always going to be the thing that it's going to be.
Right, so they're going to come up with the headline and blow it out of proportion.
But that's not new news. That's been in the newspaper. That was newspapers since newspapers were invented.
Right, so I'm just saying I think they're taking it and running with it, and in so doing they're causing more damage and making the story more complicated than it has to be.
But it also comes to a point where it's like, this is a very strange, unique situation, and you have to look at it from the point of view where it's like this could all be some elaborate fucking, doesn't matter. But what if it does? What if it's real? Like it's really easy for us to say, the news is biased and it has an opinion and like so do we. You know what I mean?
Right, but the media. But what if it's true? To be unbiased.
Well, news is supposed to be unbiased. Media is different.
Right. So how do you find the news anymore instead of you have to
none of these stories or any of these reports that we're looking at have come from any of those sources that I named before, i.e. Fox News, MSNBC, CNN.
Yeah, they have.
No, nothing that we have said has been referenced by any of those major news organizations. It's all other news organizations. Everything that we said that was quote unquote factual was not taken from any of those sources.
Right. I know on Friday, for example, I think it was either CNN or Fox News said that they pointed the finger at North Korea as being responsible. However, about halfway or 3/4 of the way down the article, then they say that the FBI does not have enough conclusive evidence.
Well, as a journalist, what is that? I mean,
it's called writing a headline that grabs your attention, and then it's like bait and switch.
Is there a problem with journalistic integrity on that?
Oh, yeah, there's lots of. They should clean house, but it's just spreading of misinformation.
Well, I think it's allowed
to happen.
But I don't think this is a media. I don't think that this conversation. I don't think that this conversation should be about the media. I think that this conversation should be.
But it indirectly is because there's so much information out there and there's so much misinformation.
So
as well.
I mean, what happens if we turn our fucking TVs off?
I think we live a lot better lives.
Blissful ignorance, yeah.
It's not ignorance if it's fake.
Well, if we can't trust any source of information for anything, because that's in essence what's being said here is like we can't trust CNN, we can't trust MSNBC, we can't trust the Scranton Times, we can't trust the USA Today, we can't trust Gawker. What you're boiling it down to is like the only thing we can trust is the Onion to be incorrect. That's
Pretty
what we're
much.
saying.
Pretty much.
So then where is the information
places,
dissemination coming from? How do we learn? How do we educate? How do we get to the point where we
because the people
learn
that
about
are in
things?
charge know the answers and they don't want us to, and they're not going to come out and tell us.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if we can't trust any of these,
Mm-hmm. We can't.
There's no
know.
fucking hope then.
Right, exactly.
So what's the point of doing anything?
Because it creates jobs and it keeps the economy going.
No.
Yeah, it keeps media. It keeps journalists with their jobs. It keeps websites going.
You're in the news business. Is it safe to say?
Well,
you were or are or currently. You know what I mean?
Half and half. But yeah, I mean, I was absolutely.
Okay. So when you were at the one paper,
Mm-hmm.
right, and you were kind of left alone,
Yeah.
and you were allowed to report what you felt like you were reporting on, something that you thought was newsworthy.
Sure.
Right? And you had nobody, holding your arm behind your back to do it. And you did it with integrity, and you did it with honesty. And then you moved to a different set of parameters.
Sure.
I'm trying to speak as loosely as possible without being specific. As a journalist, did you experience people telling you, or kind of where to shape the story to?
I saw it happen in the competition. Yeah, I did actually see. I had heard horror stories. I mean, you're in the trenches long enough with people, and you hear people say, "Oh, well, I wrote it this way, and then it got cut this way," or this now. I would go to a meeting, and the guy next to me would go to the same meeting, and we'd have two different stories based on the exact same meeting. It wasn't, it was very clear what was going on. So I mean, I think that a healthy distrust of media is smart of any citizen, but at the same time, like you're saying, like we do need to trust that some information out there is real. I think what the main issue is readers have to be smarter. I think that the people in general have to be smart enough to say, well, okay, this is coming from this source, so I'm going to take this with a grain of salt. Or, I'm going to read a few different sources, and between the 3 or 4 that I read based on one topic, I'll probably figure out what actually happened based on all of those. Because, and some of it might even not just be bias, but there's human error. There's people not thinking outside the box a little bit and covering things the way that they should be done.
People trying to just make the paycheck.
Yeah, there's just pure laziness. There's the fact that some people just want to punch out at 5 o'clock and get the story done. There's deadlines. Sometimes you just don't have time to get all the sources that you want to get, and so they run with what they want. The main thing is that nowadays, because it's so competitive, there's such a focus on what Jimmy was saying. Where there's headlines, and the lead have to be so catchy, and then you almost kind of bury the real information, or the real information is so far down that half people don't even read it anyway. They don't even get that far. So it's so focused on being the first, and I see that in local media, you see it in national media, you see it in world media, where people are so obsessed with in the information age,
breaking it.
Yeah, breaking that information, getting it first, that it's not necessarily the right information. I would rather be the guy who's late to the game and has the correct information that's confirmed with sources than to be the first guy to say, all right, well, I got it and I got all the traffic, but now I've ruined my reputation because I put out information that wasn't true.
See, now Jim,
Yeah.
and I don't mean to cut you off here. Now, with Rich saying that, right?
Yes.
Is it safe for all of us to agree that we think that Rich has honesty and integrity?
Definitely.
Okay, now, with that being said, out of the thousands of journalists and news people in this country, tens of thousands maybe, I find it hard to believe that Rich is the only one that's
and I
has
completely
integrity.
agree. However, like he was saying, source is a very important thing, and there's different degrees of sources. So you're either getting a primary source
Or a
talking to the
secondary.
people,
Yeah.
or you're getting
Right,
secondary
right. I
sources.
agree,
So there are people whose job is to take the secondary sources and synthesize that into something. So like the one article that I just spoke of, they took they were using the FBI website as their source. They wrote a headline that was completely twisted and then buried the true FBI information about halfway or 3/4 of the way down the article when it's a known statistic that people's attention span is only 3 or 4 seconds or 5 seconds. So how many people are actually going to get
Like
down to the
goldfish.
information?
Yeah.
Now, and I'm telling you this, like,
Scary. That's really
and
scary.
I'm telling you this along with the information that if you do some research and look into the media elite, there's a group of 8 people who decide what is newsworthy for our whole country. And they are a group of 8 people that meet behind closed doors and make those decisions. So anything contrary to the
I don't think they meet
decision
collectively.
yes, they do. I do a little bit of research on it, and you've also
So what you're saying to me is the head of Fox News, the head of MSNBC, the head of CNN, the
above
news
that,
division.
above that, because
So the
remember how we were saying
the CEOs.
yes. Follow it
Meet
all the way up to
together.
the top of the chain where the money is. Like we were saying, GE. How many different companies and corporations does GE own? And anything that goes in the
Well, Coca-Cola.
anything that goes against what the corporation would believe in is going to be squashed. So you have this group of media elite that decide what's newsworthy and the way it's going to come out and the way it's not going to come out. So with just the fact that there's 8 people that make those decisions, I'm very, very skeptical when it comes to very sensitive information in which we have no way as individuals in this
But these
country
are guys that are
to
trying
have
to
primary
run,
sources.
But these are guys that are trying to run corporations.
Exactly.
And then
they're feeding us the
they're gonna
news.
have time to be like, all right, look, it's 10 o'clock. Here's the news stories that we're going to run today, and here's what we're going to focus on.
It follows the chain of command down the company.
That's one reason why I kind of trust bloggers nowadays. More
But
than
again,
anything.
we don't have primary source. We can't talk to North Korea as individuals, I don't think. If we tried calling their government, I don't think we would get a hold of anybody.
Some independent sources
Or
are
be able to
getting
speak to
better. A lot of the bloggers and things have established new. Now, granted,
Yeah, and-
eventually they sell out a lot of times and
Right.
become bigger.
But also by blogger, I
Again,
don't just mean
following
like
money.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
like not
Yeah.
Joe
Corrupted
Schmo
by
just
money.
Right, exactly. And a lot of them have been, are people who've just been beaten down by the system. They're guys who used to work for the big companies and say, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to, actually put out stuff that I believe in, and they start something of them.
Yeah.
They're on their own.
Oh, and before
Back to North Korea.
yeah, before we get off track,
Jimmy,
Yes.
I hope you don't think that for any moment I was discounting your
No.
points.
I'm just trying to give you my background information from what I studied when I was at the U.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's that from
The
that
U?
point forward.
you.
Yeah, from that point forward, I'm like, I don't really trust much of what I hear because I know it's predetermined what I'm going to know and what I'm not going to know. And I know that, and I just going off the facts that fear sells.
I trust the horse's mouth.
It's definitely shaped because like we could even look and see what happened with Rupert Murdoch and that whole.
Yeah.
I mean, people have come forward who worked there that said yes, definitely. He said we have to shape the news in this way to a conservative slant.
Mm-hmm.
He does that with all of his papers and all of his whatever he owns. So yeah,
because it's not news anymore. It's media bullshit. Like it just pisses me off so much that there was pioneers of the news, man. There was you and I grew up on Rather and Brokaw and Jennings. The generation above, before us grew up on Cronkite and these were guys with integrity. These are guys that you could trust with the news. It wasn't such a fucking variety hour.
Right.
Where it's like and there's no news anymore. It's an opinion. It's an op-ed. Every fucking hour is an op-ed.
Right. Well, that's a symptom of the 24-hour news cycle because you have to fill space, and obviously, all the facts in the world are just going to bore people. So let's put on a bunch of shows where we have some talking head, just saying the most ridiculous thing he can say that hour to get people and
to incense people.
Yeah.
To have people be like,
and the news.
Well, fuck you too.
It's like it's incestual too, because then the news reports on the news. Then it's like,
right now,
did you hear what Rush Limbaugh said? Yeah. Hear what he said at 5, and then here's us talking about what he said. At 5.
Can I read something real quick to you?
Is it Clifford the Big Red Dog?
No, I just looked up the elite media, right? And this is according to Wikipedia, again, which you can check sources and everything at the bottom. But it just says the elite media is newspapers, radio stations, TV channels, and other media that influence the political agenda of other mass media. According to Noam Chomsky, the elite media set a framework with which others operate. The New York Times is used as an example of elite media by both Chomsky, a left-wing intellectual, and Bill O'Reilly, a right-wing commentator. The newspaper is in a structural position within the mass media rather than a particular political agenda. The term, like its sibling term, liberal elites, may also be used by conservatives in a pejorative context.
So does it have a list of who they are?
But my
different structural. Structural.
My concern about this conversation that we're having right now is like, are we more afraid and trying to inform about what this actually means internationally, what North Korea supposedly did, or that the news is biased?
Well, no, I'm just saying that, like, as we are going through this, there are so many layers to it that it's important to keep these things forefront.
But I don't think here's something that's true. They got hacked.
And so did North Korea as of today. Their internet is completely down.
Right. That's in retaliate. You can't possibly deny that that's not some sort of retaliatory.
Right, but for a government that is saying that they are for a government that's saying they're powerful enough to have access to our power grids and our nuclear power plants, our hydroelectric power plants, all that kind of thing. But they're in a position where their internet can get hacked and turned off for a day.
But here's the thing. That's the impetus for this entire conversation. And the impetus is you hacked us, we're going to hack you. You shut down Sony, we're going to shut down your factory. You shut down our factory, we're going to turn off the lights in your entire city.
Okay, now right there. Now I'm going to stop you, and I have to get this out because it's very relative to what you're saying. The United States right now, our actual response to a real hack, like if they find out, okay, it was definitely...
Jimmy, listen to this. This is amazing.
If it was definitely China or North Korea hacking the government, not necessarily a corporation, we actually threaten nuclear strikes.
That's Jimmy, when the United States gets hacked, our retaliation
is physical.
No, is a nuclear
right. So
weapon.
It's taking an intellectual attack and turning it into a physical attack. So, but right now we're not attacking North Korea. So what does that tell you?
But what does the hack do? What does the hack do? The hack, the hack affects money.
Right. Again, follow the money. But again, we're not out there right now as far as I know sending nuclear missiles.
Art Bell.
You know what I mean? Right.
Well, and anyway, real quick, let me read more on that. The report where that's stated in, it's
reporting from Roswell.
It's called the Resilient Military Systems and the Advanced Cyber Threat. That's the name of the report. You could easily find it online. It was prepared by the Department of Defense's Defense Science Board. And over the course of 138 pages, it makes one point very clear. If China ever hacks us, quote, protect the nuclear strike as a deterrent, unquote. The phrase is repeated again and again, and the word nuclear appears 113 times in a report, ostensibly dealing with computer warfare.
That's horrifying.
It is. It's very scary.
You broke my Sega. I'm going to blow up your home.
Well, the thing that's interesting is to tie kind of both ideas together is that the media has basically made this about the interview, has made this about the Seth Rogen and James Franco movie so much that that's the center of the conversation.
It's not. It's the periphery.
It is.
It's on the outer edges of it. That's what this is all about.
Right. Well, which of course. I'm interested in the artistic aspect of it too. I enjoy the debate about the power of art and things like that. Like, oh, can a movie be this powerful? Even if it's just I even cringe to even say it's satire, because from the reviews and everything that I've read about the movie, it's really dumb. It's like, dick and fart joke kind of dumb. It's not a proper satire in the sense that it's really some deep, hard hitting jokes here. We're just, we're kind of doing this almost on shock value, and we'll roll with it. And that's I like you said, I don't think it's about the movie at all, but the national conversation has become about that. Everything from what you said before, the George Clooney coming out and saying that Sony should not be censoring the movie, that they should be releasing it. And how his colleagues, he basically wrote a petition, and his colleagues wouldn't sign it. Nobody would sign this petition and get behind it. Yeah. And that became, a talking point of that day. And then, it seems like the next day, like, it's about will they or will they not release the interview. And it's like, at this point, I don't even give a shit about the damn movie, because I feel like I've already seen it at this point, with all the clips that have come out and all the conversation about it. Obviously, everything that's going to happen from beginning to end. We already know that he gets assassinated in the movie and he blows up. So, okay, there's the end of the movie right there. So I guess I don't need to see that. Yeah. So at this point, why do we keep talking about it? And because that's the fun part of the conversation. That's the light part of the conversation. We're not talking about nuclear strikes and people dying and warfare and the energy grid going down and stuff like that, because people don't want to hear about that. It's scary, so we don't talk about those things. We talk about we get into the art debate of should we be censoring movies based on what North Korea wants us to see? Isn't that against our freedoms and our liberties and things like that? Which I'm ready to have that conversation. That's very interesting, and I like that. I've had that conversation many times when 9/11 happened. And we basically did the same thing where
you can't play Rocket Man. You couldn't play.
Yeah, it was. To me, it was the most. It was awful, because for years we had this ban on every single thing that could even be like. It was at the point where they were going to change the name of the Lord of the Rings to Towers, because it would remind people of the Twin Towers. That was an actual conversation by executives. A book that is how many decades old by that point?
Oh, it's the 40s, man.
Yeah, and we're going to change it because of something, a terrorist attack that had absolutely nothing to do with it. Because we couldn't talk about it, we couldn't mention it. People couldn't. There was a set amount of time where people couldn't joke about it. If you joked about it publicly, if you made any sort of crack,
who
at all.
said that stuff though? Who defined that we couldn't talk about it?
Right. Well, that's exactly.
Well, that was
the
the thing.
point.
If you criticized it, you were now un-American.
By who?
The media.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
I wanted to just mention one more thing that kind of, if Snowden took the WikiLeaks and went to the media first with it, do you think they would have aired out any of that?
He didn't take the WikiLeaks.
Well, whoever did the WikiLeaks, do you think
he literally dropped the bomb of the NSA?
Right. So do you think if he went to some sort of media outlet first with that, do you think they would have ran with that?
He went to the Washington Post. He went to the New York Times, and he went to the Daily Mirror or whatever. Jimmy, all that information was disseminated over 3 papers over weeks, so they can redact things, so they can figure everything out, so that nobody was put in harm's way, so that nobody was. He didn't just Edward Snowden did not just go here, internet. He gave it to legitimate news organizations, newspapers, to help him disseminate that information, to help him filter that information. What can we release? What can't we release? And and here's the interesting thing about it is competitive newspapers were working together to get this information out. That's what happened with Snowden.
Right. So why did
Julian
they have
Assange,
to
who
run
runs
to Russia?
WikiLeaks, was just
why didn't the people that worked with him have the same force on him right now that he has?
Because one's a whistleblower and one's a news person.
But aren't they an accomplice?
No. There's actually protection for journalists in the laws that protect journalists from revealing their sources. It's not a criminal offense for a journalist to reveal to hold on to their source.
So if he went to the news sources, then how do they know it was him?
Oh, because they could have just figured it out. Who was the guy that didn't show up to work tomorrow?
Well, yeah,
or yesterday?
Didn't he make a statement and just say like, yeah, it was me?
He made a statement through, but he went to a non-extradition country because, you know, this guy leaked state secrets. Okay, and the problem is like in the terms of Edward Snowden, and there's a documentary called Citizen 4 coming out that came out that I want to that I'm really curious to see. But you know, there's people on one side of the line who are like, Edward Snowden's a patriot, and there's people on the other line who are like, he should be tried for treason, espionage, whatever. All he did was, you know, he's like, some effed up stuff is happening, and I'm going to get it out there. I don't know what to do.
Well, it's the same thing that Chelsea Manning did. She, he considers himself a she now, so I just go by her wishes.
Well, he felt. I mean, he knew the consequences too. Not Snowden.
So
but
is
Manning.
the WikiLeaks considered a combination of the different news articles?
No, that's Julian Assange. That's totally different. That's a different leak.
WikiLeaks is an organization that things get leaked to, and they disseminate the information.
And
So WikiLeaks is a group of different media outlets that work together to decide?
WikiLeaks is like 4 people.
Okay.
And whistleblowers basically send the information to WikiLeaks, and then they go through all the information. They redact things that they feel might be
harmful.
Yeah.
And then WikiLeaks then sends it to...
It's not about WikiLeaks.
No, but I'm just saying, like, why does WikiLeaks exist?
Because probably because Julian Assange is an egomaniac.
They're a safe haven for whistleblowers.
It's supposed to be a safe haven for whistleblowers.
Well, and the whole thing...
To expose corruption or just to expose crime, you know, at its core, there's an integrity value there. But I think... do
you think there's an importance to bringing the information to a third party?
Absolutely.
Rather than just bringing it right to somebody directly tied to, say, CNN or MSNBC or whatever.
No, I think you go to reputable news. Look, when Edward Snowden released all the NSA informations, it was strategic on who he was going to give it to, because he wanted to go to reputable newspapers that would get the information out there and do it with integrity.
Yeah, and they've also been releasing it piece by piece because doing it that way, people don't get bored of it, and like it keeps the whole notion that, hey,
it keeps the story in the news.
Yeah, the government's doing illegal things is always going to be in people's minds now. It's not going to be something that, oh yeah, didn't that happen like last year sometime?
Right.
Yeah, what was that? Yeah,
where are we at, Jim, time wise?
We're at 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Want to wrap it up?
Sure. Yeah, we can get to.
We've scared the hell out of the world. But,
and you know what? Let me end on just like some kind of hypothetical. What I've been thinking about is in the future.
Gummy bears.
Yeah, not really. But in the future, obviously technology is just going to grow exponentially. So computer security is going to get better, but then so in turn will the ability to crack that security.
Right.
So it makes me wonder, in the future, how secure will anything that we have online anywhere be? Is it going to be something that we're just going to have to accept, like we have no privacy ever again?
Right.
Because, I don't know. Could someone just buy something at Radio Shack if they're still open, which they probably will be, because Radio Shack never closes.
Just real quick to answer that, in my own opinion, I mean, if you boil it down to the primitive of it, first it was rocks against rocks, and then it was slingshots against slingshots, and then it moved all its way up to guns against guns, and now it's like the one up of everything. So as technology progresses, the way to fight anything has to progress. So if you punch me in the face, I'm going to hit you with a bat. If I hit you with a bat, you're going to hit me with a car. If I hit you with a car, you're going to hit me with a train. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be one of those things where it's like we have to assure that we win. Whoever side is trying to do the next hit wants to win. So as far as technology is concerned, I think that's what's going to happen, because as technology progresses, the technology to either halt or interfere with that technology is also going to have to advance. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it just makes you wonder, like, what side is then going to be the most powerful? Like, will the power rest on the side of the hackers where,
I don't know. That's why this is such a scary situation where it can infringe upon, First Amendment rights, national security, Art.
What's that movie? Catch Me If You Can. They hired him at the end.
Yeah, the FBI actually hired him.
So you
Yeah.
start hiring the
That's what,
hackers.
Jimmy. Do you know that's usually what they do? Is they'll arrest a hacker, and the next thing you know, he's working for the FBI.
Exactly. Because
Well, because he's better at it.
right.
He's better than the guy that they had before.
Right.
And now he's got a steady paycheck and isn't going to jail. Not going to jail is a great deterrent to help you to do stuff. So,
No, but I mean that's the idea. I think the hackers are always going to be out there. The technology is always going to get better. It's just a way of tracking them down.
well,
and having them work
look.
with you instead of against you.
Instead of guys, putting flaming bags of poo on people's porches, now they're doing it over an IP address. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I think it's pranks, but some of them have like this self-serving, greater good idea behind it.
With that power, it's just a power. It's
Comes
power.
great responsibility.
Somebody I know we said not all hackers are people sitting in the basement of their parents' house with Cheeto stains on their fingers. However,
Right.
if somebody is sitting there, just think about the power trip that they have, that they just hacked Sony or they just hacked the White House website or whatever it would be.
Honestly,
Yes.
and this is probably the last thing that hopefully we'll say on this is I really don't think if it is North Korea, there's guys in North Korea doing it with guns pointed at the back of their heads. It's not really
in bags of Cheetos.
in bags of Cheetos. Yeah. You will work for us and then we will blow your brains out if you don't listen to it. I mean, that's what it is. It's fear.
Did you know that Kim Jong-il actually kidnapped famous film directors because he loved film so much, forced them to come to North Korea and make films for him?
For him, yeah. Yeah. And Kim Jong-un just
so
wants
these
it.
are the people we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. But now we have
You want
Your segment.
Shall we do our?
that was our Mark Zishin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is our segue.
Okay. All right.
A new feature we're trying out.
Yeah, which we're really not exactly sure what we're calling it yet.
I think Jer had a good stepping stone. What was your idea?
Talkback 25.8. A play on Talkback 16.
No, your first one was
Damn it. Oh yeah, bitching with Mark. Or
No,
bitching
it wasn't.
with bitching with Rich.
it was bitching and moaning.
Bitching and moaning. That's right.
Bitching and
Okay.
Mark.
That's probably what.
Wait,
it is.
well, moaning looks like Mark when you're just mouthing it. Kind of, sort of.
Actually, moaning looks like this.
I figured we were gonna skip it this week because we wanted to.
Nah, let's do it real quick. Let's give it
do
a
it.
$5. What do you think?
Okay. All right. Well, let me.
You want to explain what it is? Because I still don't know.
Okay. Well, one of the things I've always liked about Jimmy Fallon's new gig is he does the mean tweets by that celebrities read about themselves.
Kimmel.
Right.
Which is hysterical. Is it? I'm sorry.
It's Kimmel.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well,
One's larger.
Yeah, definitely a lot larger. So I thought, we could do that with internet comments easily,
Yeah.
and
Easily.
Internet bullying.
right,
Internet tough guys or tough ladies.
Yeah, which is more or less what it is a lot of times. But it's I want to do it with good comments and bad comments.
Okay.
We're not just going to focus on the bad stuff all the time.
Are you going to read them?
Yeah, I'll read one that I
Are you going to read Are you going to read a couple good and bad ones?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll read-
Is it okay, Jimmy?
What?
Is it okay? Me, Jer, and Jimmy might be able to respond to some of these.
Oh yeah, well, totally. I think that's the whole point. Is
Oh,
I
it's not
want
just
us to
one-sided.
respond. to
Yeah,
them.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
He's gonna say some good stuff and some bad stuff, and we get to respond.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
okay.
If you feel like responding, respond. If you don't,
Yeah, let me pull up the story here. So if you guys want to continue while I pull it up, by all means.
that sounds so dirty.
Oh Jesus!
I'm in the same.
I wish I had that zombie moan sound that you let me. Well, that I played last time, 2 episodes
that you
ago.
let me do.
But now you won't let me anymore.
I think we're gonna get you a soundboard. What do you think?
I'm ready.
There's an app for it, so you
Yeah.
can put it on your iPad,
I'm ready.
and you can just do bells and whistles and dings, and we'll treat it like, but sparingly, not like
Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
not like every 6 sentence is some sort of bell ringing or the Ozzy Osbourne Crazy Train opening.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. So this is
That was nice, man. We did some filler.
This is a comment that was left on something we posted a couple weeks ago. It was a video by the BBC about whether or not all of this criticism about Scranton is actually legitimate criticism or just people bitching and moaning, essentially. That is it, people saying that it's a worse city to live in, and
it was the unhappiest.
Yeah, the unhappiest.
The unhappiest
and we have
region.
the ugliest accents and stuff. And their argument was that that's a lot of it was classist, and that a lot of it was unfounded, and it was based on data that was debunked or outdated and things like that,
Or made up.
Right, and
Yeah.
it's more public perception than it's based on actual fact.
And as we learned last week, that Johnny Carson has been knocking Scranton since the 70s.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
What I think is funny is whenever you see something intellectual like that, where people sit down and actually try to have an intellectual conversation, immediately internet commenters just devolve into just screaming and the F-bombs and the whole nine yards.
all caps poop.
Yeah, well, speaking of all caps, this comes from Scranton fucking sucks. That's what sucks, all in caps.
Okay.
This guy, he made an account just to say this, because this is
Oh
the
wait,
only
his
comment.
handle is
Yes, his handle is Scranton fucking sucks.
All right.
Okay.
So we know where he's coming from about every comment.
Right. He says, why does Scranton suck? Most people are raised to be inherently racist. Some people don't even know they're racist, but still refer to other people as quote unquote colored, or will frequently use the N-word toward people of color. The schools here, let's talk about how a number of school teachers don't even deserve their jobs. They only got the job because their uncle, father, or mother, or aunt taught in the district. She's very specific.
Or mechanic.
Yeah,
or
let's keep going. In the district for 20 years, keeping a lot of qualified teachers out and bringing in teachers that don't even do anything. Granted, there are a ton more than qualified teachers in the area that work tirelessly to break that stereotype. What about the politics of even playing a sport? If your dad's friends with the coach, you will get playing time no matter how bad you are. What about the politics in running for any position in the area? It's not about how qualified you are. It's about who you know, probably why the whole city has no money. It's funny, people who never leave the area except to go on vacation will never see how truly awful this place is. Scranton is truly a miserable place. Take away the scenic views, the office, high school football, and that disgusting Old Forge pizza. And under it all, you have a popularity contest driven by 40 to 50-year-old people who still act like they're in high school.
I'm sorry I wrote that. What's his name again? Is his or her?
Scranton fucking sucks.
Is it
sucks.
genderless?
Yes.
His profile picture isn't like Patrick
no,
Swayze?
there is no. Yeah, he just uses the default, so no profile picture.
Well, sir, I've traveled all over the country, and I've lived in various places with various people amongst various socioeconomic backgrounds, and I'll tell you what, man. I was the guy leaving here saying Scranton sucked, and I was the guy coming back here saying Scranton ain't that bad. And there's probably worse things that I want to say to you, but I'm sure you'll turn that around, and I really don't want to get beat up in a chat room.
Well, there two people actually jumped to kind of defend the city a little bit, or one guy just made fun of him outright, which I'm happy to read that one. Big Baller Cav.
Yes.
Okay, Big Baller says, "How long did that take you, pal? Someone bullied in high school, eh?" To which a guy named Tim says, you could say that essentially about every city in the United States that is smaller than 100,000 people.
Yeah.
All small towns have the same political and economic problems across the nation. Scranton is only worse because it has louder complainers living here.
Nice.
Which I have to agree with Tim on that. Yes, the city has its issues, and
Any city does.
Any city does, and especially especially these smaller cities, because you see everything that you see that is messed up on a national level is all it all happens on a local level too. It's just in smaller forms, and we've had a lot of bad publicity over the last few years because of all our corrupt politicians going to jail, one right after the other, and everything. Kids for cash, and a lot of awful scandals that have come out of here. But it's they're the flavor of the week, and then next week we're talking about Detroit, and next week we're talking about New York, and so on and so forth. So it's not like this stuff doesn't happen other places. It's just we have a particular brand of corruption that's interesting for the news to jump.
It's interesting, but it's not unique.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I feel like
it's like a fart. Everybody's farts, but ours have a unique aroma.
And well, what I don't understand is this guy obviously took some time to go on this tirade. He took some time to write to write this.
Wouldn't it be great if his phone did speech to text, and that's how he did it?
Well, I don't
know. In my mind, I could just see him screaming at his phone, doing that. I don't know this internet, but I will yell at my phone
in all caps.
Post.
It senses the volume level, so it makes everything all capital letters.
Siri thinks you're angry.
I just don't. I don't understand what he thinks he accomplished by that. That's my main problem. I see so much of this negativity. Like when
give me a fucking solution.
Right. There's not one time in any of this did he.
But it's so passive aggressive. It's like
he didn't say one solution in all of this.
No,
he didn't say this is how it should be solved.
Yeah.
So if you're Mr.
Horrible.
Intellectual and you know so much about it, well, please tell me. Well, tell me everything from how you would fix our economy all the way down to what is your pizza recipe? How do you make pizza?
Yeah.
And how much better is yours? Like it just seems like this guy does not have any solutions. So it just
he bakes his pizza with hate.
I've noticed with this whole
you don't turn it to 350, you turn it to 600. Cuts it in half the time. He's one of those guys.
And crispy.
He cuts in line.
It seems
jerk.
People that I've talked to,
you're a real nice guy.
Yeah, people that I've talked to from all over the country, no matter what city they're in, they always say it sucks. You could talk to people from LA, it sucks. People in Portland, it sucks. And everybody wants to move to those cities because they think it's great, and everyone on the opposite side of the fence wants to leave.
Right.
And so it makes you wonder, well, what then are people really thinking is on the other side of the fence?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you want your town to be? Like, do you think like everyone does? I think the problem is people think that everyone is destined for greatness, and they need to live in this in New York City or Los Angeles because, well, I don't know, because that's the town with all the glitz and glam that they deserve. That's what's right for them.
Do you know that if you're in LA, it's very hard to find somebody that was born there? Isn't that weird?
But I believe it.
Yeah. Most people are transplants. They're all from, where are you from? All 49 other states. What are you here for? Marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. Entertainment. So,
all right. Well, so we've decided to tell that guy to go eat a bag of toolboxes. I don't know what to go with that.
Yeah. Well, I
do we have a positive one? Like where we can at least like thank somebody for at least being like rational instead of just being like, people are real quick to bitch here, but if you ask them to help out on something, they're doing something else. They can't be there for you.
Right. And that's
this ilk of people. I'm not saying everybody does that. I'm saying like this guy that's bitching is not doing anything to make anything better.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? He's just there trying to stir the pot and have people say to him, "Oh yeah, you're right. What's his name? Fuckface 6ix9ine.
Scranton fucking sucks."
Right.
6ix9ine XX.
Yeah.
X like 420.
Here's a guy like who went out of his way. Is this a Facebook?
Yeah.
No, this was on
Twitter.
This was on our website.
Oh, he commented.
He actually commented.
So he
which
made
is
his
rare.
own account.
Yes.
Okay.
Just to do that specifically. Now, most of our comments do come from
Maybe it's North
social
Korea.
media. So
let's do like one or two more.
Okay. Well, let me see. There was this one on to go back to the Menzingers and that
Somebody
show.
talk shit about that?
No.
Oh,
This
okay.
is the positive one. You said you wanted a positive one.
Yeah.
So I'll
It was
pull.
ri-
That would
It
be
was rich. It was like, but he went under like the pseudonym, so it was like the show was great. Bathrooms
not.
It's
not
it's a
so
cons-
much.
it's a
could have used
conspiracy.
some
Rich,
Clorox.
Rich is causing drama on his own website.
That's
Right.
what you
It's like-
do. He's stirring the pot. See, Jimmy, all media has its own agenda.
I'm trying to find. I can't. Of course, you can't find the positive one.
How many negative ones do you have? Are your
Well,
comments mostly negative, or
Well, here's the thing: is because our site is mostly positive. Like when I used to work for the paper, most of the comments were negative because you had news and entertainment. So they ignored the entertainment stuff because most of it's positive and talking about artists that are doing good things in the community.
Right.
So people just, for the most part, they would ignore them. Every once in a blue moon, someone would just go off on a tirade that had nothing to do with what the article was about or the artist or anything else. So really, because the site is focused on the positivity of the area, and we try to take we have a positive take on what's going on here. Most of our comments are positive. The stuff that we do get, the feedback is usually great. And
it's nice because you're not broadcasting to like, you're not one of those things where it's like, oh, you go to every home. It's people choose to be a part of the NEPA scene.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And people have been
Except fuckbag.
Right.
Colostomy head.
I chose him this week just because I thought his particular tirade was funny.
I hope he listens to this. And what's his fuck? Oh, Scranton fucking sucks. Is that
Bitchcock
his name?
McGillicuddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Troy McClure. I hope he comments some more. I really do. I hope he comments against specifically me. I'd love that.
I mean, the one about the Menzinger show must be on a different article that I'm not looking at the moment. It basically was saying that it's nice that this kind of tradition exists, that people are, because the show's proceeds went to Arts Alive, which is a community a community event where over the summer different teachers and things get together and they teach young kids the arts, and they get them into arts programs. And
Yeah,
things like
because
that.
the state has slashed all the extracurricular art stuff.
It's a great program. I've done stories on it before, and the kids get a lot out of it. And it's great that we do have bands that care enough to donate the money. To
I think
to
also
an
it's
event
because
like
they
that.
realize how much it helped them.
Right, and that was actually what Tom May from the Menzingers said, that a lot of it was just due to the fact that he couldn't imagine his life without his art. So to have other people not have that opportunity would be awful. So it's nice that that they have that. So there are people who are positive and they leave us positive comments. In fact, I can't complain because most of our
But the negative ones are just so funny.
yeah, they are.
It's like do you ever see the South Park where they start explaining 9/11 to Stan?
Mm-mm.
And he keeps going, "What? What?" And his voice gets getting higher pitched like the more details they give him, and his head gets more cocked. And you're like, that's what happens when you read these guys writing all this negative stuff, because you're just like, really? Like that's not even. How do you even jump to that conclusion where it's like, I think Scranton fucking sucks guy has an agenda though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the funniest part about it is
I think it would be better if he changed his name to Scranton Sometimes Fucking Sucks, because then at least it opens the door for him to have like a shining moment of positivity.
that's more passive aggressive though.
I love passive aggressive.
If it's internet, it's 10 or nothing. You have to turn it up. You have to turn up.
That's why I'm not really succeeding at the internet, because I'm always really like a 4.
Here is the comment. Taylor Co. is
How do you spell that? The last name?
it's all one word, Taylor, and then C-O.
Like company?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Right. So it says, what a great tradition. It's awesome to see bands return to their hometown and give back to their community. Also excited about the locals like Estacota on this show. So, we
are going to have Estacota on.
Nice positive comment.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I would love to have them on down the road because again, and there's a bunch of positive guys that are trying to do.
Yeah, no, I don't know about you. I know that I've been approached by a couple of bands.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
More than one.
Yeah.
It's a matter of scheduling everyone and then finding topics that we all want to agree on and talk about. Because
we can't just talk about the music industry all the time.
Yeah, we.
North Korea was a
that was a stretch for
contrasty.
Us. But we wanted to do something.
I still don't think that we got to a point where it made total sense.
Right.
But
Well, I hope people just got the gist, like we're talking about it because we feel and we think other people would feel that
it's a bigger deal.
Yeah.
People just okay, at the core of it it's not one of those things that you should just take lightly. Right. You know what I mean? It's not about a movie.
On the surface, it could seem that way, but
it's very superficial.
And,
we know going back to what Jimmy was saying. Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Just to kind of agree with you, in a way, not fully. I'll never fully agree. Is that yeah? Like as you were saying that, and as I thought about it a little bit, it seems like being that these are whomever's reporting on this are these big multi faceted expensive corporations.
Mm-hmm.
It's entirely possible for them to divert the message so that they can cover their ass, and kind of it's kind of like a bait and switch, where they're reporting on like Sony and like it's basically like this Hollywood gossip column that they're reporting on. Meanwhile, like they're taking the focus away of the grander idea, which is that most of what we do, a lot of us pay bills, do banking, pay our cell phone bills, the internet. Those things could be kind of under attack, and you don't want to create. You want to create fear, but I don't necessarily. But I also don't necessarily think that they want to create a panic.
No, you want to create awareness, and you want to. It's good to have some skepticism.
Oh, Lauren came in at the absolute last minute. Okay? So you're here right now, right? Come here. Welcome, Lauren, back. Okay. You have 3 minutes. We're gonna lightning round to you.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Okay.
All right. North Korea.
Your feelings on North Korea
Oh.
and what's going on?
Okay. Well, did you hear someone shut down their internet today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Come on.
That's
We're on top of it.
Okay. Did you 1984 it already?
Not.
You did not. Did you Brave New World it already?
No. I really wanted to get into the sci-fi stuff, but we didn't get to it.
Okay. I don't know what's been covered already.
Just do your 3 minutes.
Oh, jeez.
You are.
Just talk. If it's been covered, it's been covered.
Rooney,
Right.
NEPA Scene. The last. You know what I don't understand?
This is a lot of pressure, guys.
Kill it.
Okay.
That's your fault for walking in here.
I was going to make some witty remark and then walk out. Oh, it's just a shame that that a corporation can be held hostage and cause such a commotion over a picture. A motion picture can cause such an ordeal over nations. Is really it's quite remarkable. It really is. And the fact, did anybody mention the corporation thing?
The corporation? No. Oh, no.
Well, I'm not shedding any tears for any corporations. I'll say that. But at the same time, what we kind of discussed was that there's a greater aspect to this. That behind the there on the surface, we all want to talk about the art aspect of it and the movie and things like that. But behind it is just this greater idea that if a corporation like this can be hacked like that, then how far does hacking go?
At the base level, what has been attacked is our freedom of speech. A satirical movie that has all the rights in the world to be as satirical as it wants has been held hostage because of what it contained.
Right.
America was built on certain principles, and one of those things is our ability to say what we feel, what we want, as long as it's expressed in certain fashions. Satire is one of those fashions that has been accepted as creative and important to further society. We should be standing behind satirical works of art, or whatever you want to call it.
Maybe art's a strong word in this case, but yeah, I know. I get what you're saying, though.
It's
overall,
it's any American's right to say what the heck they want, and for any party, not just a country, but any party to say you can't say that. It's not within America's fabric to stand by and let that happen.
Unless it's going to cost a business $200 million, then
that's just sad on the business's part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they definitely could have done a hell of a lot more to protect themselves. And it's a costly lesson, although they've been told, remember when they got hacked a couple of years ago? I guess they didn't learn. They said, oh yeah, we revamped security. I guess not so much.
Well, we can just keep shutting people's internet down.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't have nice things. That's my thought.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's wrap it up then, because we were at an hour and a half and then we went over. So
sorry.
No, it's not your fault. We went over before that because my segment, actually, the whole point of my segment was to wrap things up, and then we went off on a tangent about that. So what can you do?
And way to step in and ruin the flow, Lauren.
I apologize.
Well, now we'll just blame you anyway, even though
it's fine.
even though I was totally taking the blame off of you. Jared put it back on. So
okay.
All right, fuck it. It's your fault now.
I love you.
Whatever.
We all do, Lauren. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
I was elsewhere doing other stuff. I was totally not involved with whatever went on with the internet in North Korea.
Good. Yeah, we did postulate about your involvement in that for a while. But
I figured you would.
Yeah, but we concluded you weren't involved.
Good.
Yeah, just because you're Asian, we're not going to be thinking
I brought
you're
a paper
hacker.
trail to prove where I was today.
Good.
In case you didn't believe me.
Like that can't be forged.
Yeah, right. Hmm. All right. Well, we're signing off for now. So thanks for joining us. And hey, leave us some comments. Maybe we'll be really mean back to you. I'm kidding. No, we're really to leave constructive comments, and it will continue the conversation. Leave bitter hatred under the handle Scranton fucking sucks, and we're probably going to rip you. So.
Yeah, definitely. People should make alternate accounts.
Yeah.
Very creatively named alternate accounts.
Right.
I saw
leave
that
their
comment.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah. It was a good one. It was definitely a good one.
But yeah, tell us what maybe you want to see.
Tell us your take
on the show.
It. Yeah, we would love to hear what kind of topics you want us to talk about.
What do you like? What do you hate?
Right. Exactly. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.